right, we are live. How you doing, Mike?
I am doing. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Well, happy Thursday, anyways. Weekend's getting close.
Yeah, isn't this like supposed to be like State of the Union or something going on tonight?
You know what? I'm out of touch. I really don't know. Probably.
No, is that what happens to us? We become completely out of touch with the
Yeah.
rest of the world because this seems to be a hell of a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think I agree with that for sure. Hey, the cameraman's here. I was going to say, I had a feeling he'd be popping in here. And there he is. What's up, Jack?
What's up?
Jack, the cameraman.
What's up, brother?
Not much. Gonzalo, what's up? How's it going? Hello, everyone in chat. Jackie, what's up? Hello from Texas. Yeah, I wanted to do this live stream tonight and share some information. I think a lot of you seen my video at Claim 6, and I had the homeowner reach out to me with some really interesting things, and that's kind of what I wanted to do tonight, was talk a little bit about that. And I have a video that'll be coming up soon in the future when I return to the swamp, and I'll show you guys an early clip with some interesting things for that. But to to Claim 6. This was something really interesting, and I wanted to share with everybody. The homeowner at Claim 6 watched the video, and she reached out to me, and to our surprise, there was a message, one of the messages through the necrometer, which, hey, Constance, hey, Derek. I get, I do get a lot of messages through the necrometer. Sometimes they don't seem like they're directly related to me or like trying to communicate directly to me. But sometimes I could tell there's something being said. And there was a message. I'm going to show these clips so you can see them from that video. The homeowner saw a message, and it says, "Know me, Focky." And that was when she told me about this, because when I heard it, I remember
I think Jack's thinking the same thing as me.
Like, what is it? Right. And that's like one of these messages, I get through the necrometer, and I remember hearing that, and I thought there was something there, because it sounded like it said, "Know me, Focky," and I was kind of like, wasn't sure. And that's one of those that I leave in, of course. I usually leave in all the messages, but can't always title them because I'm not sure what they're saying. Well, the homeowner heard that, and she was kind of like taken back. And she contacted me and told me about one of her friends that was a nearby neighbor. And she was saying that her friend Lisa passed away back in 2020. And her friend Lisa had a sister. And her friend Lisa was one of those that has nicknames for everybody, like just off the wall nicknames. And she called her sister Focky. That was her sister's nickname. And when she told me this, I was like, wow. I'm like, right away, I'm like, maybe Lisa's trying to reach out to her or reach out to someone. And so we started looking back through the video and listening to the messages. I did catch a timestamp, and I let the homeowner listen to it before I told her what I thought it said. And there's a message later on that says, "It's Lisa." And I think I missed that one titling it, and she heard it and she confirmed, and I'll play that clip. So there is a message coming through saying it's Lisa, which was her friend's name that passed away, who has the nickname her sister, she called her sister Focky. So this was all starting to add up, and I was like, wow. I'm like, this is pretty amazing stuff. And I'm like, let's go through the rest of the video. She went through it, and there was another message, which I titled. I could hear it pretty clear. It said, "Have Crystal call her." So I asked the homeowner, I said, does that name Crystal sound familiar? And again, jaw dropped. She said her friend Lisa and they had another close friend. Her name was Crystal. And I was just like, whoa. I'm like, wow. I'm like, of all the times people ask about the necrometer, and some people are like, why do you use it? Hard to hear. A lot of times I have to replay it and slow it down to hear it. But again, this is an example of why I use the necrometer. Hey, Lisa, what's up? Was another example of messages coming through.
How old are these folks in the story?
They are, from what I gather, right around our age. probably 40 to 50.
Okay.
So this was like, you know,
I'm a senior citizen now. You know that.
Yeah.
56.
You ain't that old.
I am. I'm 56.
Go to Arby's. Go to
56
Arby's,
is a new 26.
you go to Arby's for some of the coffee and
No, I want to live a little bit longer. So
You're in the back nine with us.
yeah, I'm gonna play those clips so you can see them. But you know, I just wanted to let everybody see some of these developments because you know I want everybody to kind of see where I'm coming from. Where you know, from the beginning when I understood what speech mode was on the necrometer. You know, Steve Huff was the guy that turned me on to it and opened my eyes to how good it works. And the evidence just keeps coming through. And I hope everybody can see.
you're breaking up a little bit, bro. Just
Am I breaking up?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to play these clips for you so you could see some of these messages again.
It's better now.
Exciting.
It's a wild ride.
Yep. Okay, this was No Me Faki right here. Can you see it?
You can see it. Yep.
Okay.
You're Faki. You're Faki.
It's so clear too. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Hello.
Said
Hello.
hello. Did you hear that?
How are you?
Said hello right after that, which was interesting.
You're Faki. Hello.
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 Well,
How are you?
Well, that was what caught her attention.
And is that snow that we're seeing, or is that?
Oh yeah, that was a snowy night when we were there. We had that snowfall. I don't know if you remember that night.
What night was that?
It was a couple weeks ago, I think.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
About a month ago?
Yeah, let me go back and go back to the clips, and I'll play the next one here. So she heard that "Know Me Faki," and that right there was what she reached out to me immediately and was like, "Wow, I think this might be my friend Lisa reaching out, who passed away, because that's a nickname that you would know." She called her sister Lisa. Her friend called her sister Faki all the time. So here's where this one says, "Have Crystal call her," and when she learned, when I pointed out this message to her, she knew that this was their friend.
Okay. There we go.
Have Crystal call her.
There we go.
Crystal call her.
Yeah.
And I'll run that one
Whoa.
more time through.
Have Crystal call her.
There we go.
Crystal call her.
Wow. You guys, you hear Crystal? I hear sister for some reason.
It could be. It sounded like Crystal when I slowed it down there, but I mean, let me play it again.
Yeah, play it again. Let's see.
Whoa. Okay. There we
Have
go.
Crystal call her.
There we go.
Crystal call her.
Yeah, it kind of sounds
Whoa.
like sister.
I have a
Maybe-
sister caller. So it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Let me go back.
Either way, it's cool. So you know what I mean.
Yeah, and there's one more, and this was the one where it sounds like she says, "I'm Lisa." And this was the message when she heard this, it kind of eliminated doubts about whether or not this was her friend Lisa reaching out.
Necrometer back on. I don't hear it anymore.
Hey, Lisa.
Does somebody need help? It sounded like somebody was hurt. Necrometer back on. I don't hear it anymore.
Hey, Lisa.
Does somebody need help?
And that was that. Let me go ahead and bring this back. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all that together, we think that her friend Lisa was reaching out. Make sure I caught everybody here. Hello, Kathy, Lisa,
Hello,
Sally,
hello,
Joe.
hello.
Hello, everybody. And Derek, if I missed you, hello.
I can't help but ask it for a cameraman being a Bigfooter. What does he think about what we're experiencing here?
Oh, I enjoy it. I experience it a lot when I'm out
I
there.
know you guys do. So what are we experiencing here? You know what I mean? Because it does, the Bigfoot world that you and I have been in, they don't seem to have the answers.
No, but I can tell you what, I was talking to my dad the other night and he was all like, do you believe that there's life after death? Absolutely, man. There's hands down, no question, life after death. And I can tell you why. I seen a ghost before, and maybe 80% of us have seen a ghost before, or something that resembles something of that form. And all the stuff that we came across, there's absolutely reason why. I don't know.
And it seems like
That's such a good question, though. Reason why? Why is there life after death? What is this place? That's the question I've been asking. I can't keep asking myself, and whatever's around me. What now are we in? What kind of place is this? What is this?
It seems like they're
I
still
give you an
talking
answer.
to us, like they're still talking to us one way or another. So that's one of the things that I'm going to try to do more direct questions on. There's been times where I've asked some of those questions before. It's been a lot of times, so I think I might start doing a little recap over a lot of the hunts and listening to the messages again, and just to refresh, because there's been a lot of times I've asked a lot of those questions and I've got answers that might seem like they're clues, but it's hard to tell sometimes because the messages seem to be like residual in most cases, where they're just saying something, but it's hard to tell. Sometimes they seem like they could be an answer in some way or another, but we don't quite understand it.
Correct.
So what is different? We're using a necrometer, but what were you using last year this time?
I was using an app, Spirit Talker,
So
which was like an Ovilus. They're like a device that has a word data bank in them. Then they can be triggered. I guess you could say internally, like the theory was that the word data bank is there and it's accessible, and through various methods of like EMF or temperature or pressure changes, they could pick something to say in it, and then it comes through the device, but they were always fixed messages. And all these devices randomize too, like all the apps, they always will randomize. So it's hard to tell with a device like that Spirit Talker what was maybe being transmitted, or what was just random words. That's why I like the necrometer now, because
the necrometer seems to be clearer too for some reason.
well, it's like a lifetime EVP player. I mean, that was what the company was kind of going for. They wanted to make a device that wouldn't give you unnecessary or fake messages. You can call them fake messages as being a randomized message that's already preset. They wanted a device that has a different way of communicating with just letters and groups of letters. And then now they do have two modes on that. So the necrometer has a mode where it has the data bank of words, and then it'll do the same thing like the Spirit Talker, but the speech mode is the one that I use. That's the one that doesn't have any radio channels or any preset words. It's just letters and like pairs of letters, so that their theory, and it seems to work, when something interacts, it's putting together these phrases and sentences and words. It's making them out of the partial letters that are in the database. And when you get so many of the things, the messages I've got, anytime you hear something that is a message, it's impossible for it to randomize it. So the evidence is great.
Do you ever find any kind of crossover or bleed over? It's kind of like some kind of interference where you're maybe hearing two or more messages at one time from like different parties, if you will.
Yeah, it's possible. It seems like most of the messages, from what I can tell, but again, like there were messages there that if it wasn't for the homeowner, I never would have really understood what they meant. So it seems like they have meaning. So it seems like a good chance, maybe all of them, could be intelligent replies, and they're trying to tell something to me. but I don't know what it means all the time because they might have, they're more personalized or they mean something to who they're trying to reach out to.
That's interesting you bring that up. I was going to ask both of you if you ever felt, since you've been doing this together, have you ever felt like something's guiding you to these locations, to these nights, inspiring something outside of yourself?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so. I think that
is there maybe a force or multiple forces, or talking about regional, local, generational spirits type of thing? And are you noticing that anybody, like when these interactions, are you noticing like how about you, Jack? Is anybody in your life sound like what they're being talked about in your past or anything?
Not that I know of, but it's funny you say that, because a lot of times when I go out to an area and it's a new area, I'll just walk until something makes me turn. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if it's like intuition, or you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that was weird. And it seems like every time that when I'm walking and not just looking around, I mean, we're just kind of just walking and walking and walking, and then I'll look over and I'll catch something.
Sure.
And it's like kind of like, come on this way,
How about you, Mike? Do you feel the same way, like something's guiding you?
Well, I've always noticed since I've been doing this, there's just been something natural to being out, just being outdoors, being out. And, Jack and I've talked about this, about being in the forest. Maybe it has something to do with the potential energy. Maybe there's more to some of the answers that we don't understand that are out there in, you could say, in nature. Because I think there's more to the connection between us and the universe than being in a house trying to communicate. Not that that's not going to happen. I'm sure that's happened. But for me, it feels like my drawing towards this connection or to communicate always brings me towards like the outdoors. It always feels like that's where I want to be to do that.
Yeah.
It's my impression is, well, I've been saying this for well over a year now. So if you're going to have a better chance having a quote unquote paranormal experience in the woods than you're ever going to be in a building or house for some reason. I think it has something to do with the trees and everything, but obviously
the energy.
The energy is.
And there's
we know trees give off energy. They give off tons of energy. And depending on the tree, depends on how big the tree is. The bigger, the taller, the more energy.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we proved that. We did study on that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a formula figured out just for the potential energy in carbon atoms in a tree. Like a formula that I put together and got like an average size oak tree. Just the potential of stored energy in the carbon atoms is like 17,000 volts potential. And that's just the carbon atoms. And, we kind of have thoughts about, the actual photosynthesis going on around and everything else. There's a lot of potential for energy. But
absolutely.
One thing I wanted to add to that, though, is that, like we talk about all those poltergeist cases, I think the biggest drawer of energy or whatever happens, I think is more people. People can really be, it seems like a person can really be a host for this kind of energy, because cases that happen in, like we were talking about the Enfield and the Black Monk, those cases involve people in the home, and the amount of energy and the things that went on are like something that's hard to imagine. So there can definitely be a different method of like interaction with spirit.
But then again, these tree structures, something is making these tree structures, and if it's something very similar to the poltergeist energy, then we could be dealing with something that's very similar, because no one's ever seen a Bigfoot or anything make these tree structures.
Yeah, like Derek said, moving water. Yeah, I've seen that documented before with some of the other with a lot of paranormal groups that measured EMF. There's a lot of potential for EMF from moving water sources too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's something about it when you get trees. I mean, we get a lot of action around an area that has a lot of trees. There's water. I mean, you throw power line cuts in there with railroad tracks and you mix that all together. I mean, you got to think of a force of a train coming down the tracks.
Yes. Yes.
You know, next to flowing water in the forest.
Just
You know,
just
say
amount
by
of
a power line cut.
amount of static electricity that is generated, and the kinetic energy being generated just from the. I used to be on a railroad, so you take like 2.5 miles worth of freight. You
Yeah,
know,
it seems like the energy is a big thing, and that's one of the things we've noticed that outdoors, especially all the moving energy sources, whether it's the water or trains, just the trees themselves, us being there, more people being there. There's a lot of potential energy,
Yep, absolutely. And there's something to it.
definitely.
It seems like when you get that mixture, if you can find that mixture, you're going to find something. Something's going to happen.
Hey, Lulu.
So I feel like I'm living right in the middle of it, where I'm at. Seriously.
Yeah, it's all around us.
Yeah.
I don't. All I have to do is go to my backyard and have something happen.
Absolutely.
So,
Again, it's just the energy. It's like whatever it is, whatever's out there, if it's some kind of a form of energy that changes that we don't understand, or if they're physical creatures out there that we don't understand or really haven't seen, whatever's out there, I think the key is always just the energy, the natural energy from everything.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, we've done the homework on it. Me, Mike, Trapper, we've done the homework. I mean, behind the scenes, it's crazy how much homework we've done. To testing trees out, to going up the trees to see how much power they put out, how much energy they put out. I mean,
nice.
done it. We calculated the maths. We know the areas.
I'm happy to hear this. I've been saying this. I've been saying this for a while. Thank you. Thank you for doing what I've been talking about.
That's why I always keep my meter on. I keep my tri-meter on all the time, just to show, a irregularity of some kind of spikes of energy that just seem to come out of nowhere. Just to show if it's constant somewhere, you can document
that. I have is right now, this time period, February, March, and April, that seems to be, especially when they start budding, like right now they're starting to bud, right? When they start pushing out the leaves, I think they're emitting
My mom's basically here, so.
a lot more energy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, it's my son. I'm supposed to get a hand off here.
Do what you got. Yeah. That's a lot of the thing that we're trying to collect, since this has been going on just over a year, I kind of got a little bit of data to look at going into next year. This upcoming year, we'll see how things go with the change of the season again.
Yep.
We'll see if there's any consistencies or anything new that happens.
Right. And what I'm finding with everything that I have on notes from this time last year, there's a big change. There's like a mile of change. It's not a small change. So it seems to be.
What about this change again? I'm so sorry. Tell us what mile of change. What's
a big change from last year to this year.
As far as knowledge or things that are actually happening out there?
No, things that are happening. Things that are happening. I mean, like energy wise, areas changing. I mean, and you're going to have change everywhere. It's a nonstop change. But from the prior year was a small difference. But it seems from last year to this year is a big difference.
Isn't it weird how we fell into something potentially could be the cutting edge of some new science?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm dead serious about that.
It could be really old, right? We're just not really aware of it.
Oh, yeah. absolutely. This possibility that our ancestors knew about what we're just rediscovering, right?
Yeah.
The probability is quite high, but it's like to realize it's such a connection with the trees and the forests and Sasquatch and then the spirit realm and quantum physics. It goes on and on and electromagnetism. And it's like, oh my gosh, we're like falling into it's like the infant stage of maybe a new science.
Yeah,
because of technology, you know what I mean? It's because you have the technology that we have.
I was thinking about the incidents at the swamp with those rocks thrown at us, and that's one of the things that I'm curious when we come around to that same time this year, if maybe that occurred, because it seemed like it occurred in a short time, and that was right around summer, if I remember right, summertime.
Right. Yep.
And it really hadn't manifested itself that same way again. So I'm curious to see, if that's something that will occur again, maybe at some point, even into that same season this year.
So have you found some sites that some of your claims that kind of died off completely, and some that ramped up, or what? I mean, what do you find? Which ones are the ones that are maintain or stay active? Well,
there's a handful of them, but I can tell you that we lost some. I mean, lost a lot actually from the beginning of this to now. I go into areas and it's like, and when I say lost, I mean plant life, trees dead, plant life gone. It's like it's just.
Are you serious? No. Listen, this is the thing I've been focusing right now about. And what I've noticed, whenever I go to these locations and I end up having encounters or film something that's pretty substantial, I like, even in my neighbor's yards this winter, like trees that are the things I was filming in trees. Man, a couple of them they took down completely. A bunch of them were, trimmed up and all that kind of stuff. I mean, beautiful, 80-foot to 100-foot tall silver maples, beautiful ones. Been around forever, and then I'm seeing that same thing, like the one ravine that I found, like the tree structures, a couple pseudo teepee structures, and one real teepee structure. Actually, it's just 350 yards from me, and all around there this winter, I came back because I hadn't been there since November, and just major clearing out of all these trees, man. It's just like, or even my first sighting I had of the big Sasquatch, it looked like a Sasquatch. Within a year or two, they ended up developing it. I'm finding this seems to be something. So like the trees are dying, you know what I mean? I'm filming stuff, and also that there's some kind of major change that happens. They call this. This guy interviewed George Hansen. He talks about anti-structure and structure, and this whole thing about like there's an uptake in paranormal activity when there's an episode of anti-structure. Anti-structure would be something like getting a divorce, a new job, moving, remodeling your house, or another way. It's like what I'm talking about. It's like possibly it could also include like they knew there was plans coming that they're going to develop the damn place, or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think or something in your life. You have something that just because you have your normal pace of life, and then you have something that throws it all out of balance. And at those moments, anti-structures, increase of paranormal activity.
Kind of like the psychokinesis kind of in that kind of manner. Like something is reacting to some kind of, you could say, like emotional stress or trauma, even though it sometimes seems to manifest itself bigger with certain kinds of people, but almost like it does affect, even it could affect others, not necessarily those who, some of the big cases that are documented with psychokinesis relating to them. It could be on a smaller scale for others,
right?
And but I was going to say Beth is in the chat. Beth Beth is the homeowner at Claim 6 that we were talking about earlier.
Beth,
So-
hello.
Beth's there. And Lori had a question. I'm trying to catch up a little bit. Not on this subject. Have you heard of Dogman and Paranormal Research on YouTube? I watched one video and the information on Dogman, werewolf, aliens, and Bigfoot.
Can't say I have.
I can't say I have either, but it's probably something that I'll find some time. I'll look
Sounds
into.
familiar.
Yeah. Some of the same, same cryptids that we hear a lot
I
about.
wonder how long they've been. I wonder how much influence you guys have had in other groups around the country. You've heard anything? This combining the paranormal with Bigfoot research, because you guys are getting more results. Excuse me, more results than most.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. I mean, it seems like we just kind of came together in I don't know if you want to call it like it was meant to be or something, but we just kind of came together and worked our own ways and put together our own, our own way of doing things. And, I know a lot of people who do investigate specifics like Dogman and things like that, but I haven't heard of too many that branch together, so I guess we're kind of unique that way.
Yeah, this holistic approach is important. It's absolutely necessary.
I mean, I love the approach. And even we said this before, if an area, we get into a new area and, we could slide one way or the other. Like if I don't see nothing and he's getting action, I'll go help him out, vice versa.
Yeah. And Gonzato asked there, do you think all these things thrown coming out of something's hand are being moved by some type of energy? And that goes to like when when O.R.D. and we talked to Travis Watson, it's like a lot of poltergeist activity mimics a lot of the things that are reported in the woods that are claimed to be, like Bigfoot activity with throwing rocks. So I really don't know for sure, but it's possible there could be an actual entity out in the woods that could be throwing it, or from like what documented cases of poltergeist activity, something like that can manifest in the woods could possibly do the same kind of activity. It could throw a rock just like it has.
I get the impression that I know, I'm kind of extreme at this point, but I think that 99% of what we're experiencing is that in the woods. I'm not saying the Bigfoot's not real. I just think that what we're experiencing is so much bigger than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's so much bigger than Sasquatch. Sasquatch is cool, and
Well, that's where coming up with real answers, like trying to get real answers, finding them, and then asking yourself why, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get that? I mean, that's the big question. Even if you're a skeptic, at some point in your life, you got to go, I need real answers. Why did that happen?
Right.
You can say that there's no such thing as ghosts or there's no such thing as Bigfoot.
Then you find out they're both real.
Well, we know aliens are. You know what I'm saying? We know aliens are. The government says they exist. We know ghosts are real. They exist. I
wonder why they have such a hard time when it comes to Sasquatch.
I really think there is laws when it comes to paranormal, Sasquatch. I think there's laws. Believe it or not, and it's
like the human-made laws or universal laws, or both.
I think there's a universal law, of a higher being. There's a reason why they, maybe they can't interact. Maybe they're not allowed to. Maybe when they come, you know what I'm saying? We know they exist.
Right.
We know aliens exist. We see them, flying around and, in the skies. Yeah, but there's a reason why the interaction is so, just zoned into areas, the forest.
And that's why doing this kind of research and like we talked about with how did Travis Watson put it with the silos, not putting yourself in a silo, and that's one of the things that I always felt.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the biggest part of me was that I'm not in a silo of any kind, you know, and it's keeping me an open mind to document what happens, and maybe we'll get closer to answers one way or another. You know, maybe they'll give us more breadcrumbs to give us a clue to what's really going on.
Pretty much just throw it as expectation. Just got to just throw it all out and just say, okay, just take it.
How many times have you said that, cameraman?
Just forget about it. Just throw it out and just say, okay, spirits, where are you going to take me today? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we were talking about
whatever that means. You know, even the thing, what is a spirit? It's still to this day, but whatever. For some reason, that word, things react to that word, spirit, spirits.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think that kind of leads down it too with somehow some of the things could be manifestations of ourselves, of our feelings, of what we're thinking, and that almost could be kind of lingering over places that we go. And one example of something like that was at the swamp recently. The video that I'll be showing the follow-up here in maybe another 2 weeks when I went back to look at the structures I made. But I got some messages there, and it was very interesting. I was telling Jack about it, and I think I told you, Mike. One of the messages said, "We'll be here," and then immediately following it said, "at the swamp." And that was through the necrometer. And that just like, that had me kind of like in awe. I'm like, it just said they'll be there, and they referred to where we go as the swamp. And I was just like, it knows what we call this place. It's like
it said we too. It said we was plural. So
right. Plural. I get a lot of plurals, so it definitely seems like there is a presence, and they're watching, and they're intelligent, and that's why I like the necrometer, because these messages seem to reflect the ability to communicate on a level that we don't understand. And I think it's only able to be understood with a device like that. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be known.
Yep.
But I'm going to play one more clip for you. This was a pretty neat interaction when at the time I was referring to the follow-up at the swamp. And I'll let you guys watch this clip. This was pretty interesting. Just got to find it here.
Okay. It's so true. I noticed that areas
hold on one
that
second.
brown I go into and start boom. Yeah. It's there's similarities of what's going on in the woods and what we're interacting with, but at times what people experience with UFOs or crop circle type thing, you know what I mean?
All right, I got it here. Let me go ahead and play this. Can you see it all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You think you could copy these?
Shush.
Really? Here, I'll make a couple more.
I was kind of testing it and listen to the reply.
Says tell you to search.
Think you can make that sound?
Make him fall off.
You think you could
I'll
copy
play it
these?
one more time. You can tell it says shush. I thought it was pretty funny.
You think they're trying to trip you on the
They didn't like the noise.
Here, I'll make a couple more.
Says tell you to search.
That's funny.
Think you can make that sound?
Make him fall off. It to me, I got when I heard that, sounded like it repeated. I mean, that's the thing about the necrometer. Sometimes some of the words in that, like the grammatic structure of it's not always perfect to what you hear. But it sounded like it says tell you shush, like it was repeating it, like I just told you shush again after I knocked. And then I knocked again, and it just says tell you shush. And then it said make him fall off. So it almost seemed like something was getting a little testy because I pushed back and knocked again after it told me shush, and I thought that was pretty interesting. But that's the kind of thing, like, why I like the necrometer, because whatever is talking, it's obvious that it's sensitive to sound. Sometimes it seems like it, and it's intelligent, and it's talking to me, and it's got some, a lot of times there's attitude, attitude comes with it. So it seems like they're pretty intelligent. If it's just spirits, like residual energy from spirits, which I believe is what a lot of it is, you can see that there's like an attitude still there with them. So that's always been interesting to me.
And then there's the trickster spirit too that we talked about before the show.
Yeah.
And are we dealing with this? First Nations people have been talking about forever and a day. And so it's not just, doesn't seem just to be lore. And then you discover it's not just First Nations people, that the Egyptians were talking about it, that everybody was talking about this. There's like a trickster spirit or spirits, and how much are they possibly messing with you?
All right, they'll be telling you things that you want to hear, or they might mimic something that they know scares you, or they might just try to tell you to do something or say something that's totally the opposite of what they're trying to do, just to like laugh at what you're doing, like, look what we just made them do, kind of thing. Yeah, that seemed pretty relevant. Or that
it might be the right attitude that we should have when doing this stuff. You know what I mean? Because when you first have this stuff like revealed to you, starts hitting you, it's like it's inevitable you're gonna get a little freaked out about this whole thing, right? It's
absolutely.
So and then after a while, maybe the best attitude in all this is just have fun with it and laugh along with them.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much of that negates the interaction, because if there's this trickster spirit element to it, maybe they are trying to jerk our chain, literally. You know what I mean? Trying to get us to be afraid of something that we have no reason at all to be afraid of. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a lot that goes on in the forest. I mean, I think, Bigfoot, Dogman, Grassman, Sasquatch, paranormal ghosts, things will play with you. That's why I stress when and a lot of people stress this. Make sure you go out in that forest with a clear mind, and you're not mad, you're not, what I'm saying, overexcited. You're out there with a clear mind, and you'll.
It's interesting to say that.
Sightings.
Yeah, I always felt like that. Like we were talking about, you could say it's on a level of like psychokinetic level. There is some form of energy that understands you and knows what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and depending on what it is, could try to either acknowledge that or mess with you, and it seems relevant because there's times where, like recently at Claim 6, I was sick and I was like coughing, and I got a message on there that said sick, and I was like, yes, I was like, I am sick. So it definitely seemed there was an intelligent level spirit or some kind of entity that understood me, saw what's going on with me physically. And that's,
so you guys, camera, you're talking about making sure you have right kind of state of mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, have you gone out in the woods with the wrong state of mind yet? Have you tried it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And what are the consequences have you observed?
Everybody witnessed it. Me and Trapper laying on the ground holding our guns, praying to God. Not just once, twice.
But do you think that was because the attitude you had coming into? Was it really because of that? I mean, it was just
so.
I mean, you don't have to say what you were thinking about, but was it something pretty negative?
I'm a firm believer, one of us go in there and, man, walking through the forest, and it seemed like, once Trapper was like, I'm having a really bad day. and then going into a hunt, and it was, just, it turned out bad. Things getting thrown at us, screaming, yelling, getting rushed,
It's so fascinating when you think about
Yeah.
it. Why? Are they thinking, or do you have the same kind of thought process that we have?
Maybe towards them, they're picking it up. Maybe they feed off you. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm at the advocate of the reincarnation soul trap matrix. I think that these things are feeding off us, right? That we're missing this thing called LOOSH that Bob Monroe talks about in his book, Far Journeys. And I recommend everybody look it up, the chapter 12 and 13. And it kind of answers the reason why we're here. It's kind of controversial at the same time, but I think that a lot of these things that we're dealing with, I'm not saying everything, but a lot of these things are actually feeding off what we emit. It's called LOOSH, which is emotions, love, anger, lust, you know what I mean? And it's almost like it's a drug to them.
Right.
And
Right.
So I think
they'll zap you. I mean, telling you, it's one good thing. I mean, and show your intent. Give them your intent and go in there with a good mind. Because if you don't, be laying on the ground too.
All right.
I mean, we were laying on the ground. We were running to get out of there.
I was wondering about the rock throwing at the swamp too. It was just a strange coincidence, we'll call it, but I always wondered if, because you know how Trapper is with the swamp. He does not like going to the swamp, and he's always vocal about that. And the first time he went there was the first rock throw, and it was directed towards it. I mean, the rock did go towards him, which I was by him, so it was towards both of us. And then the second time he was there, which was the next time we visited the swamp, that's when the rock got thrown again. So I was already wondering if somehow, if whatever was happening, if it had something to do with him, maybe a state of mind or a feeling, maybe what was going on. But we've been back many times since with Trapper, and there hasn't been any more occurrences like those. So it's just more, it's just something that you think about, especially when it seems like there's something to the trickster spirit or some, psychokinetic connection that seems to be there.
Right.
And if those rock throws had something to do with it.
Do you guys like these sites, in particular, where you're talking about with Trapper and that incident, or the couple incidents with throwing the rocks? I mean, you guys are in those sites without him, right? Beforehand, right?
Right.
And I just, going back to these trickster spirits, I wonder sometimes if when things like this happen, they're almost like saying they just picked on them just to pick on them, to maybe distract them to come back, or say he's not welcomed or whatever. Or the other thing is just, I think more probable is it's a combination of you guys wanting him to have an experience that maybe you guys have had, something like, dude, this place is really amazing, right? You guys check this out, type of thing, right? That's and tell me if I'm wrong. And then because you guys thinking that helps manifest it, and with all the energies were directed to him is what I'm trying to get at.
Right.
Your energies been directed to him somehow.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think I've ever went into an area going, oh man, I hope I have an experience.
Or how about for the other person?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, like even I took out a buddy of mine the other day, and I didn't really tell him what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like just wanting to see his reaction of the area. I mean, he knows what we do, but it was just like, I'm going to go check on there. You want to come with me? Sure. And he was having his own experience. You get what I'm saying? I mean, he was seeing things, and it was all like, okay, it was like, he was seeing wolves. He was seeing Bigfoot. He was seeing shadow people. he was seeing dragons in the damn trees. I mean, to the point where he's freaking out, like, get me the hell out of here, man.
Thanks, Vicky. Thank you.
It's so fascinating that it happened to him, but it's not happened to you guys, but it happened to him. I'm just trying, because I've had times where I've seen things. Most of the time I haven't. So a lot of times I feel things, and that's why things happen. And I just try, how much of it is us making this happen? Like your friend, was he in a state of mind that allow him to see these things? Why did he see this? Because I'm not saying he did. I mean, I've seen things too, so it's kind of hard for me to say anything to anybody else, whether they've seen stuff or not, right? But you know what I'm saying? Was there something? What was going on that allowed you to see that?
I kind of thought that. I mean, I always thought it's a possibility because that was the first time Trapper was there with us. One of the things I wondered was because Jack and I had been there a few times or so before that incident.
Mm-hmm.
So we were wondering, did it have something to do with him just being someone new? Or like Constance said, which we also discussed, and I think we got some insight with Ramona before about, because he's a trapper and a tracker, and maybe there's something to just his energy with regards to animals. Maybe there's something that was picked up and there was something to that. I mean, it's a possibility. I kept that in mind. But
or maybe it was his time to have the beginning of the dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And everyone's journey is different. So the dark night of the soul, everyone's going to have their own, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Some last for years. Some is like one profound moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just wonder. In other words, the spirit realm was reaching out to him, knocking him on his ass, and waking him off the reality of this stuff.
I mean, it could have been waking us all up. I mean, that was the first time I had like that kind of an incident. I've never had such a display of a potential of force guided directly at it was. I mean, it literally was towards me and Trapper were both there, and that tree was probably not even 10 feet from me.
Uh-huh.
It was that rock. If you watch the video, which I did clip that too, you can hear that impact. I mean, that rock got chucked.
Yeah, that hit pretty
and the
hard.
second one got thrown just as hard too, and they were big rocks. And to see that kind of potential, I was really blown away by it. That was, that's a different kind of experience when you see that kind of that kind of power that was projected towards you, and it just literally was it was like somebody threw this rock, but this rock, both times the rock came from a distance away. I mean, the amount of force it would have taken to throw that rock the distance and hit as hard as it did, it would have been very.
And was it Watson that was talking about he found different reports of people being hit by rocks? One lady in particular, I believe, in her driveway, had nothing to do necessarily with Bigfoot, but something decided to whack her. She ended up having terrible. It was terrible for her, right? I don't remember exactly what the issues were afterwards. Couldn't be good, right? But the same token, the vast majority of these reports and what your guys' experience are is it's almost like they deliberately miss you. They're just trying to they're not trying to hurt you. They're just trying to get your attention for some reason.
I had one out on a hunt. If you look at the short that I dropped, and I heard it coming. It was like hitting the tree branches and landed right by me. Backed me right up.
I'm sure it would.
You're like, okay.
Mike,
okay.
O.R.D, if you hadn't seen the Christmas live stream, you remember that event? That was one heck of an event. Something was throwing stuff at the cameraman and made the call, and I was getting closer to him. I was live, he was live. We both were that day. And
Merry Christmas, Jack.
was throwing stuff at you, and then when I got close, I heard something just go hurling through the air, and you can hear it on the live stream. Something just went whirling loud. I mean, it had a lot of volume. It was big, whatever it was, and it never hit any trees. It didn't make any sounds. And then after the sound stopped whirling, there was just this audible, weird sounding pop sound. And that was so.
Has any of this stuff followed you home? Like with because Because one of the things for me, I notice once in a while, I'm on my front porch having a cigarette, and I'll hear something that sounds like little pebbles being thrown at my roof and at the gutter. Have you heard anything like that, or has it kind of anything fly on? They call it the hitchhiker effect, but I don't know how much of that's true or not. Because there's no way to quantify that. But if these things, these spirits, the spirit energies are following us or around us, you don't necessarily. Maybe they've always been hitchhiking. We just now just coming. Now, once they know that you know, or you start searching to find out, things start happening.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I think in those extreme poltergeist cases, those are some cases where I think you can put some level to something attaching, or something being attached to someone that's at a level that it's hard to even understand what it's like going through some of those experiences that were documented. So that's something that's kind of like scary, but I know we always take the precautions that are, like we're told to us, regiment to follow to help prevent that, based on some, some methods from different groups. And, I try to follow them, because if there is something to it, I'd rather be safe than sorry over that.
Right. But like I say, if Bigfoot and ghosts are dimensional beings, if there's,
this is what it seems like they are. It seems to be that they are.
Yeah, if dimensions go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's more than 5, they say, but say one dimension up from us, okay, these things can come back down into our dimension. They can go through walls. They don't, if they think it, they're there. You know what I'm saying? If you were one dimension up and you said you wanted to talk to me, you wouldn't even have to call. You could say it and I can hear it.
Right.
You could see through walls, nothing there to stop you. You can see through objects. You can go through objects. So
it's like what people do with this outer body experiences and the astral projecting. They say they do the same thing, right?
Yeah, remote viewing, especially.
Yeah, remote viewing.
Yeah.
Going through walls.
Right. That's like a prime example of what seems like someone who is in the third dimension experiencing a higher dimension. Remote viewing sounds just like that.
Right.
So
when I did the homework on tones and dimensions, because I want to know, how is this possible for a Bigfoot? I to see what I seen, Bigfoot going into a tree and not coming back out. When I took the thermal on the live and put it at the tree.
When did this happen? You never said that last time we talked.
No, this was kind of.
Of course, it's been a year ago, but
last year, yeah.
So you have
this, Mike. I took
no. I mean, to me, that you understand. This is a guy that's like I've been saying to people. I've seen them go through trees and come out of trees, and now you're saying that you saw one that go into a tree.
Yep. Now put it all together.
Of course, to me, that's like it's music in my ears, because I've been telling people this.
Put it together. Trees emit energy.
Yeah.
Okay. Bigfoot, if they're interdimensional, they're going to use that energy. Correct?
Sure.
Okay. So if they're from one dimension, the one dimension past ours, they can go through walls. They can see through things. They can be anywhere they want to be just by thinking about it.
Past, present, and future.
Yeah. Just by thinking about it.
They talk about that's kind of similar to seances, and they say that through or mediums will claim that they're being possessed by another entity, and you know what I'm saying? So, and of course, there's the religious connotations of that, if you believe that kind of stuff. And then the other thing is, but then there's this whole thing about using another life force or energy, something that emits enough energy for these interdimensional beings to manifest. Mm-hmm. Hence, they go in and out of trees, and a lot of times those trees end up dying. So another thing I like to remind people, and so because we know for some reason those of us that are in the Bigfoot community are waking up to this aren't talking about that. And I can't believe it's just me. You sound like you guys having something similar. that there's like a die off, like there's some like it's like a cost must be made for the manifest, and I'm thinking of energy now. I'm thinking like radiation. I'm thinking like
I'm thinking portals. A portal, if there's a such thing as a portal,
or wormholes, which is even something that
is killing that area.
Yep.
It's like a direct beam of energy happening.
Yeah, it's killing the area.
Yeah, and if something is like I believe that whatever is communicating, whether it's a spirit or if it's some form of like you call it like a forest spirit or like an elemental, something that is multidimensional. If when it comes through and is interacting somehow, that that to me would be method. The method would be through what you would probably describe as a portal.
Right.
And somehow they have to anchor to something that's like that it has a large life force or energy. It's a lot of energy. It has trees, force. And it doesn't even have to be, obviously, from what we're hearing from what Mike's doing, that forest spirits, heck, they could be your freaking one of your long lost relatives, or using the same life force, this energy is emitting from the forest, and hence you're getting this kind of communications. In other words, it's like a giant webbing of like antenna web of energy to somehow they can harness in order to
and while we're talking about that, that's something else that I've captured more than once, several times, especially at the follow-up to the swamp. You'll see there's a mentioning of the forest in the message, and it's happened a lot of times, and it happened again there. It said in the forest. It was a short message, but it was clear. And I've got a message that talks about the forest. I've had that same message like several times. So I always I took that as a message that is basically talking to us maybe about how they're communicating or what's there. It's alive with the forest. Maybe it's part of it in energy form of some kind,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to try to build one. I built two and they both broke, but I think I got an idea how I want to build this energy pump and take it out to the forest. But I want to use it in an area that I just find. And we've ran into an area, and I think this is why we had so much trouble at the Pines. We ran into an area where there's a circle of trees, empty on the inside, no plants or anything.
Like a grove or opening, a grove or just like a cluster.
There was no growth or anything, no plants.
Grove. Like a grove, you know what I mean? A grove of trees? No?
Yeah, like just a round circle of trees, pine trees.
All right.
So it was just pine tree. You remember that area, MT?
Yeah.
I did the gifting right next to it. Now
we play in the frequencies there too, right?
Yeah, that's where we played the frequencies. And then I was testing the energy of the trees, walking around. There was a lot of energy just right in that spot. And when I was playing with the frequencies there, it kind of like woke up that area.
Yeah, I kept getting spikes. Remember that? There was after a short time from that. What else? We did something else. There was something else too. Like after it all started to unfold, the energy level, I was up to like 30, 40 milligauss. Right. And I was getting spikes. And that was really strange. That's something that I don't know if we've ever noticed it when, as much as we did right then when we were testing that out.
Right. Now, I think maybe we could have popped the portal because of how much energy that we got. We could have popped the portal.
Yeah.
And I know these what we call portals, or whether they're wormholes or whatever. I've filmed two of them. I've witnessed one and filmed one. Witnessed one in 2022, and then I filmed one last year. And at least that's what I'm calling. I'm calling it a wormhole. You can call it a portal or whatever. Some kind of opening, a circular type opening, and then it was things start spilling out.
Constance
Entities.
said right there, you also thought you seen a face in a tree.
Yeah, I remember
And
that
I
too.
got that on
On the
thermal.
thermal. Yeah, it was on the thermal. It was really cool.
And every time I take my hand and go to touch the face in the tree,
Yes.
it would move away in the tree. And then as soon as I would move my hand away, the face would come back.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
You know, I'm not only a believer, I'm a knower in what you're talking about.
So
I'm listening to this and it's like music to my ears. I'm like, finally,
O.R.D.
saying it.
O.R.D. We do a lot of stuff out there, man. We do a lot of homework.
So if you guys try this, here's one of the things I wish I had the help to do and all that. But yeah, like take a setup or some wire and hook it to a light. And you know how you would hook a light like to a battery, like a flashlight, how the setup is, and a positive, negative, and hook it up to trees. And just like it's a real simple thing. I don't think it would be that expensive. The thing is just wrapping it around a tree and just seeing what happens. What I'm curious is when you're out there doing your investigation, if just like, you know, you got the necrometer having a response, maybe they could, through the energy of the trees, turn on the light.
We've already thought of that, taking 2 nails and an LED light out.
And see if they can turn it on and off using the energy off. I think that would, because that would say a lot to me at least, because I'm convinced that they're using the trees like an elevator, go from the underworld,
Absolutely,
the middle world, and the upper worlds, and it's just like they're going back and forth, and it's just, to me, it would say a lot. Well, you know, physics-wise, you know, there's a lot of energy, just enough energy, and there's videos out there, people doing it already, and hooking up light bulbs to trees, right? And the light bulbs run.
They say if you think about it, it's already been done. So,
and then with the static electricity that's being emitted too from the leaves rubbing against each other, the incredible amount of energy too, and which again, like I told Mike, is about the Italian researchers that are figuring out a way to harness that static electricity that comes from the leaves and the trees blowing in the wind and going against each other, and an immense amount of. But I just because. Then not only could they try to communicate with Mike, but also a couple folds, right? We could see them using the trees as a source of energy, and then also that light as a way of communicating through it.
You know, I wanted to mention here, Michelle Grimmer on my Facebook, she posted a video. It was, said it's a demonstration on a way to create an EMF pump. And I have to watch that too, so I might.
So what does that mean, an EMF pump? What are you guys talking about? This is something that's kind of new to me. What's an EMF?
Like a device that puts off electromagnetic energy, like radiates it.
And the point to do with that is
basically to like energize the area where you're at to see if it increases.
Increases
activity. Yeah.
Or so there's also the potential of seeing what are the effects.
Yeah.
On plant life.
Yeah.
In that area. You know?
Yeah, see if it can kill an area off.
It would say a lot. To me, it would. To me, it would say a lot. You know,
I'm just a firm believer, man. These Bigfoot and everything that can manifest itself here is from up. You know what I'm saying?
From somewhere.
Are you literally?
What's
so
that?
You're not necessarily saying up, like from heaven. We're saying like there's a parallel universe or something.
Yeah, right. We can't go backwards. If you're up, if you're in a parallel universe, you know, next to us or whatever, higher, you know, you can go down, but you can't go, you know,
to a higher dimension from.
Right. We can't go up from where we are. Our brains just
that's
won't
like the
do it.
Quantum field. When they studied multi-dimensions, they
which is part of the reason why I think we're in a soul trap matrix, by the way. Our brains can't do it. Like something or someone designed us with the brain to be like a reduction valve to keep us from our true potential.
Right.
It might sound really drastic and woo, but I don't think so. I think it's the more you do this stuff, you start really asking what kind of place are you really in?
Right.
You know, and what designed us to be inside this meat suit? If we realize there's life after this time here, or we start to recognize it and see, then it's like, what were we before, and why were we in such a very poorly designed meat suit? Advocate, seriously.
Tough question. That's a tough one.
That's a tough one, man. I give you 100 answers on that one, but the real one might offend you.
I don't think. Tell me how. Tell me.
We'll save that for another. How about I come on your podcast?
Oh yeah, we'll do that. We'll talk about that. You know me. I am like an. Well,
How about that one where you said it, this channel might offend you, but don't you want to know the truth?
That's it. You know what I mean? That's where I'm after, and it's just this. Doing this really brings up so many more questions and really broadens your thinking. I know when you're doing this passively or in the early stages, it's not so. But once you're active in this, whatever role you play, you know, you guys, fortunately, you have your health, so you can trump on the woods. I was forced to start doing it on the edge of the woods, right? So then having this holistic approach, I'm sharing the same thing you guys are having, similar things happening in the middle of the woods as on the edge of the woods or in my town. That says a lot.
Yeah, I always felt, and I still do, that it almost doesn't really matter where you are. You know, it seems like
as long as you have the conditions right, like what you guys were bringing up earlier about
all these interactions,
streams, rocks, trees, power lines. If you have all, you know, what's the other one? Quarries. If you just have the right elements, if you will, it's almost like you're guaranteed to have something.
Yeah.
I mean, people have those experiences in their homes, so it's something that happens inside, outside. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So-
The
conditions are just the mystery. What's the triggers? Why does some people, not others?
They mimic each other so perfectly. So then the question is, you know, why? What is there some kind of like artificial recognized barrier that's in? Because in the house, it's like there's almost a different type of experience that happens outdoors. They mirror each other in the sense of like throwing stuff, moving stuff, hearing voices, all that kind of stuff. But there's like it's almost like the things outdoors, for the most part, aren't allowed to come indoors. Does that make sense?
Right. There's law.
Why don't they throw a big rock through our house? You know what I mean? Those of us are connected to this, you know. And I don't want that to happen, obviously, but there seems like be some kind of rule that says.
Yeah, that's why I said that's what I'm seeing, that there's some kind of interaction law. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's some kind of intelligence that you could almost say it's like people. I mean, like we are, how we all are, you know, some people, some things that are questionable or terrible, and it's not the majority though, you know, so it's almost like you have some kind of entities.
So the question is, why not? Why is there not like they say this is like a dualistic, and I've been saying that for a long time myself, but now I'm starting to ask these questions. If it's so dualistic, it's like everything's reversed, you know, so it's like, you know, like, so why don't they like a 50-50 negative stuff? You know what I mean? Why is there most of it just really passive? Every guy saw that? I mean, I
think the more negative experiences that have happened are probably the more minority.
That's what I'm saying. So why is that? That's the question. Why?
Yeah. I guess it seems like there's some intelligence to what's there, and I think, yeah, like you said, you were talking about the rules, right? There's probably some limitations to what they can do, and there's an exception that some can interact in a manner that's more, you know, has a stronger ability to do things like move things around or speak through other people, or, you know, it's probably not the majority, you know. We don't really know why, but it just seems like
it's like the question again, like, why is there so much? Why our powers is hidden from us so much? Is there a power that each? You know, I don't know. each and every one of us has, and where we create, for whatever reason, the barrier itself. You know what I mean? Kind of like a superhero type power type of thing. I'm exaggerating that part, but you know what I'm saying. But in a way, it is. I mean, is it something about us that also makes it mandatory that when that rock's being thrown at you, it's going to miss you? It's just going to scare the crap out of you, but it's going to miss you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if
It's almost like something's a gatekeeper to Bigfoot, paranormal. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like they have a gatekeeper over them, just like, you know, we have cops. They have something, you know, that says, you know, that's why I think sometimes even in hauntings, and then the haunting stops and the house is like, you know, it's all great again. Like, you know, oh, we caught you. Let's go.
The question is, why does it stop, right? Why? It's bizarre, you know. Sorry, taking over going places you don't want to go, Mike. I just like these type of questions. This is what I think about when I'm by myself and out there.
Yeah, these are real questions.
I'm like, you know, what the hell is happening? Why is it happening? And how come that thing that looks just like a human being is up in a freaking tree? And what's it doing there? You know what I mean?
And that's why I love working with MT and Trapper and the other guys. It's you know, we do the homework. You know, everybody just thinks, okay, there's videos, and you know, I get a message when, you know, what else do you guys do? Well, oh man, we do a lot. You know, we do all the homework. We got answers too. It's not just for, we want everybody, you know, everybody that follows us to understand, you know, we want to just not give them a hunt. You know, there's big questions.
A walk in the woods is what most people do.
We want to give you answers. Right. You know, that's the goal.
Try to get as close as we can to getting some.
Like I said, I think that we're on the edge of something that we don't even understand, but it's the coming edge of something that's going to be found and down the road, if we're allowed to have this happen. You know, so,
right?
You know, the powers that be in the matrix that we live in decides to have some kind of giant reset on us. Hopefully, we're going to really discover some true important mysteries. You know, here's another thing that a lot of people say, like, you know, people say, I hope we never really find out what Bigfoot is. And I can understand where they're coming from because it's mystery, right? But my thinking is, I actually want to know what they are and what everything else is, and what is the connection, and what is the implications, and, you know, because you can count on, at least for me, my research, that the organized religion is really screwed up things when it comes to this stuff, and has really polluted us and not knowing the true meaning of and purpose of these, what's going on in the woods, these encounters, these paranormal activities, you know, hauntings, whatever. I think we need to start thinking outside the box here, if that makes any sense. I think this is what we're doing, you know, we're taking it to the next level.
Right.
It sounds really simple, but
here's a question for you. After Patty was seen, you know, by the two horse riders, was she ever seen again? Was that Bigfoot ever seen again?
No, not that I know of. In fact, I mean, which says a lot too about, okay, there has to be more footage, right? In my book. But then again, not necessarily. I mean, why is it that we only get glimpses of this stuff, and because what was going on during that time, there was a lot of this anti-structural kind of event happening, right? A turmoil. There was the indigenous people, the shamans and the medicine men and women were continually in prayer calling upon the spirits and the sacred mountain just not too far away, day after day after day for like 40 days straight when it happened, right? That's something to think about. And you know, and then on the same token, we have the lumber industry in the state and two governments allegedly involved, and they're all after this thing we call Sasquatch, right? And how much of this, I can't, like the indigenous spiritual side confrontation with modernia, right? And just like it's just the perfect blend, and they created the right situation to have that one moment to have that filming, and since then we don't have anything. Pretty much. I mean, even stuff I film, I can't. There's no way. And you guys, we can't compare it to Patty. So what the hell happened? You know what I mean? That's a really great question to keep thinking about that. You know,
I really believe with spirits, and I believe Patty the Bigfoot. Once he, I believe it was a she, got Saul. That was it. The higher up said, we got to go. You got to go. You know what I'm saying? Just like spirits, you never see those spirits come back. Once they're gone, that's it.
So
just like a haunted house, and then once it gets cleansed, and
so then the indigenous people believe that right there in that location, there's a portal that opens up, and if they through prayer and ritual and summoning these spirits, they can bring the star people, Sasquatch, come from the sky, right? All right, and that there's the UFO thing, whatever the UFO is. Sorry, and then because I don't believe it's, for the most part, they're not like mechanical nuts and bolts things. But then they show up, then Sasquatch show up, and then I mean, it seems very flesh and blood, right? That's the thing. It's like it's almost like a type of angelic being, but not. I don't think it's
probably coming from the next dimension. You can do that.
I think your thermals, especially, Jack, like the thermals at West Branch. I think that paints a pretty good picture of what's there. Something that seems to originate from some kind of an energy source, and in various stages changes shape, and then there's
almost the material. It's almost in flash,
like thermal view of what looks like a big, full bipedal entity, and then at other stages it looks like it's just a slender little energy form, right? Like it looks like from those thermals that you got a pretty clear picture of whatever was there is somehow transforming or changing from energy, which might be part of coming through. And then
now there's also the group of people like MK Davis and others who say there was at least 7 individuals during that incident. I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not, in which 6 of them they claim, or 5. I think it's 5 actually. Of the 7 were taken out, and that there's a high probability that Patty was taken out when it's manifest in the flesh, right? That's what the claim is, and it's based on certain evidence out there, possibility. So I don't know how you can prove that or not, but if it is true that happened that way, then it means that at some stage, you're able to actually end the meat suit, and when they turn, sometimes they materialize like something straight out of Star Wars, or not Star Wars, Star Trek. You know what I mean? Beam me up, Scotty. You know, you get. I mean, I know it sounds really bizarre what I'm saying, but
no, I get you. I get what you're saying.
And if it's true or not, it's another thing. I don't know. I mean, when I had my encounters, I mean, to me, it's clear I was dealing with something that was interdimensional.
Right. Absolutely.
Really seemed or appeared to be physical. And
but you just got to remember that
appeared to be
dimension up from us. We were up there coming back down here, we can be whatever we wanted to be. We can manifest into whatever.
That's what they say when you have these out of body experiences, that you can actually through intent, you can not only you can change what's in front of you, right? So if say there's like some kind of scary looking entity, just through thought of just saying go, then they would go, right? And the same token, you could supposedly change form, shape shifting.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, they say Sasquatch is human, right? And so
flesh and blood. That's what.
So what's the? I guess what I try to get at is there a possibility that some of us on the other side chose or can or do look like a Bigfoot? Does that make sense? Because in other words, if we can change shape and we really don't know what we look like on the other side when we move on, right? There's no solid. I mean, I've heard certain stories about us looking like what we are or younger and that kind of stuff, but there's nothing solid if you say that. Maybe Mike, when I'm on the other side, I'm something that has like 7 heads and 10 horns and 20 arms. And, you know what I mean? Or maybe I'm Blob. I mean, I just think I'm throwing it out there because it just seems to me that a lot of things that I'm filming, though they don't look like us, have some kind of connection with us. Not only in this realm, but in other realms.
Yeah. A lot of answers, man, and that's
a lot of unknown. So much.
Unknown.
I mean, that's what I think about when I'm out there. I'm like, what? I want to know the truth, whatever, no matter how bizarre it may be. You know what I mean? Because at this point, you can't really put the limitations on. You can't like say this is the way it's going to be. Like that's what I'm seeing with a lot of people who are extreme on either side of the camps that are out there in Bigfootery. Is like they put extremes on it. They put limitations on what's supposed to happen, and then they miss out on what's actually happening or what could happen.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that.
Well, I was going to say, any last thoughts? I was going to go ahead and end the live stream for the night. You guys have any last?
I'm ready to go do a hunt now.
There you go, man.
We were just doing one before the stream tonight. Hustled back here just to get on in time.
Yeah.
Checking out a new area.
Well, I hope I didn't derail the show or take it down the wrong path, but I just
it's just open.
No.
I love this conversation. This conversation needs to be talked more often.
We'll have to do one on your next time you do a live stream. We'll have to join you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this my point in all this too is there's too much of this scary story stuff. I know that it's part of the entertainment thing and all that. But then those of us who want to take the next level, we have to let go of the scary thing, even though there's going to be times when it is so, and look at the bigger picture. We have to be more holistic about it. So I think that if those of us who go down this road or this path, we're going to have a better time of this. And those are stuck in whatever paradigm they're forcing into this scenario. And I can know that, I did it when I was a hardcore Christian. I put my faith into it, and I do believe it affected the journey. Maybe in a hard time, in a negative way at times too. So
constant that got rained out.
I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. That so.
Oh no, I do. I totally understand you. I had a great time tonight. Thank you for everybody that showed up.
Thanks for sharing the audios. Hey, were we supposed to see a video of the rock being thrown, or what was going on?
I played. I wanted to play that short clip from my follow up with the swamp, which that'll be coming out, I think, the week after this.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm releasing a new video, so you guys look forward to that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
I got one dropping on Saturday. Oh, and there'll be another hunt tomorrow. Trapper's hunt.
I'm going to have the kids with me, so I'm going to be watching that one too.
You guys' channels are growing. I think that's awesome, man. So congratulations.
Trying to do the right things, man.
Yeah.
We accept what it is.
No silos.
Go with the flow. That's what I say. Whatever happens.
No silos. Yeah, right. Exactly. No silos. Just engage. See if we can get answers to get closer to maybe understanding all the unusual things going on.
Wouldn't it be wild if you guys end up discovering a whole new type of quote unquote cryptid?
Well, I tell you what.
You ever thought about that? You ever thought you could open up your mind?
I was gonna say
we
were talking about how like sometimes you see something that's captured and you see it once and then you never really see it again.
Mm-hmm.
And what the cameraman which you captured in the red light at Claim 3, I think that was one of those cases.
Dude, that video that you shared during the show with Watson, I know you shared it with me before, but I didn't see it. But this time I really saw what you guys filmed.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap, they guys really found an entity. I mean,
What is that?
all that.
Yeah, and it came right up to me, like it was taller, came right up to me. I looked at it, and I even said on a live stream, I was like, I'm not even gonna say what I'm seeing. And it just backed right off and went away.
Yep.
And I was
And
like, yo,
you survived. How about that? You survived.
Yeah, and that's up one of your live streams. That was uploaded right to YouTube. Any doubters, those live streams that go up on YouTube, you can't edit those. You can't edit those. If you go back and watch that live stream, that's it in its entirety.
And we can't call it a Bigfoot either, can we?
Well, we can't. I don't know what you can call it.
I don't know what you call it.
You see it?
If it was a cloak Bigfoot.
See what you think it is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's some kind of amoeba-like entity or something, or maybe it just is what it is, just a ghost, of some sort, a spirit of some entity of the past or present or future or whatever.
It was pretty amazing. Whatever it was something that was there. It was a Class A encounter captured live.
So I film like this ectomist, and sometimes you get very close to ectoplasm. Right. And a plasma. And the thing is that I'm filming stuff that looks like snakes or serpentine-like. Not really a snake, and they're not really a dragon, and they're not really a reptile. They're just their own thing, but because of lack of, it's almost serpentine-like.
Maybe we'll see something like that sometime.
I just wonder what that is all about, and then how the ectomysts and the orbs, how they connect and get together to make the ectoplasm. But we call it ectoplasma because we don't know what else to call it, right? And this stuff, we're not, people report all the time it happening during seances or in their homes, but I'm filming it outdoors at night. Have you noticed a difference before you go about filming during the day and night and what you're filming or capturing? Is it more ghost-like or spirit-like at night, maybe?
Something different at night. There's definitely something different at night.
Right. Usually in the winter times, we film a lot more during the day than at night. I mean, there's a safety reasons behind that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah. I mean, I think you can see a lot better during the day for distance, for things watching you, interactions.
It's like
the interactions are quite different.
It's like part of the research. I think it's just about data collecting, what happens during the day, what happens at night. If there's any differences or consistencies and evidence of things that happen one way or the other.
So during the day, for me, I noticed that it's easier for me to film more of the darker entities or shadows, the shadows of these beings. Where at night, I get more of the misty ectoplasm or ectomist type of thing, the orb-like thing. I just find that interesting. I hope you guys are documenting all this stuff and really recording it, because you guys are onto something, man. And I just blown smoke. I mean, you guys are onto something. For whatever
everything gets documented. I got over 370 CDs.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot. How many hours of that
Oh God, it's got to be hundreds of hours, easy.
And you guys writing this stuff down too, documented in any kind of way?
I got notebooks after notebooks after notebooks. Every time somebody finds something, it gets timestamped.
Most Bigfooters, most Bigfooters or most like paranormal researchers, I wouldn't even care. But you guys, I do care. I hope you are doing, because I'm not saying that. Listen, I can see in 10 years everything shifting, all right? And a lot of things about like the Bigfootery and all that, a lot of that is just going to become very archaic to us. And then also when it comes to the paranormal researcher, I can see more and more of them doing what you guys are doing, going back to nature, going back to the elements, going back to this creation to have more of an experience.
Yeah.
The bare minimum.
Yep.
So
we'll see how it goes, but definitely keep at it. Just keep doing what we're doing and see how it progresses. But I guess I'm going to end it, guys. I appreciate you guys being
Thank
on.
you.
Mike
you
and Jack, thank you guys. Thank you everyone in chat.
Thank you all for coming tonight and listening. Hope you found it good. Thank you for the great questions, O.R.D, MT.
Well, we'll have to do it again. Mike, let us know sometime when you want to do one.
Yeah, we'll do I'm going to be focusing on my book a little and doing my research. So now the weather's breaking.
Tap into that, O.R.D. Tap into that. I got a lot for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anytime, man. You want to talk, man? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love to hear what you have to say. Behind the scenes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even better conversations, aren't they?
All right. Well, good night, guys, and good night, everybody.
See
Thank you
y'all
all
later.
for watching.
Hunt tomorrow night.
Yeah, look for that hunt tomorrow night.
We'll post the times and stuff.
Yeah. All right. Good night. Thank
Good
you
night,
again.
everyone.
See you later, folks.